All right, so today we're starting a pretty big and a pretty important topic, which is interpreting the slope and the y-intercept in context. Okay, and this really gets into like the meaning of, why do we talk about these two things so much, and how can we use those two things or what we know about those things to really make sense of these linear representations that we've been seeing, no matter what representation it might be. Today we're mostly going to focus on a situation, and then we're going to look at a graph, but the same idea could apply to any representation. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is just kind of ask this sort of abstract question. Given the equation y equals 25x plus 10, come up with a situation that could match this equation. And some of the guiding things you should be thinking, or guiding questions, should be what is the slope and what is the y-intercept? I want you to go ahead and take a pause, and I want you to see, looking at this equation, what could be a situation that would match this equation. Go ahead and take a second and try that. Okay, so let's just look at a few possible answers to this. So the first thing is, let's address these two guiding questions. What is the slope? Well, super important. We really need to have this down solid, because you can't interpret the slope if you don't know where the slope is. Well, if I'm thinking about my y equals mx plus b, which one of these is the m? Great job. So the m is our 25. So what is the slope? Well, 25 is the slope. Okay. And then, so that means, what is the y-intercept? Well, the y-intercept is going to be the b, and that's our b over here, so 10. Okay, then we have to, the next guiding question is, what does the, thing you should be thinking, what does the slope represent in a context? Well, I mean, it represents, and we've said this so many times, remember, the slope is our change, right? Oops. Slope is our change. So if the slope is our change, and then the y-intercept would be our start. So we have to be thinking about that change and start, because that helps us think about the context of the situation. So change, and then we have start. Okay. So I know these things. How can I come up with a situation that might match this? Well, some situation where we are starting with 10 and we're changing by 25. That's all you have to come up with. Some situation where we're starting with 10, changing by 25. Let me think of an example. Let's say Ulissa. Let's see. Let's start with the starting amount. Has $10. That's an easy one, right? Every week, she saves. Well, what's the changing amount? $25. Boom. That's a context that would match that equation. Okay, but that's a simple one. We talked about these, money and time things a bunch. Let's think of something different. And I am coming up with these on the fly as well. So we need to have a starting amount of 10. Well, let's think. So a snake is born 10 inches long. Every year, it grows 25 inches. That matches as well, because the starting amount is born at 10 inches long, and it grows at 25 inches. Okay, those 10 and that 20 matches the changing and the starting amounts. Okay, so that's what you should be thinking here. You're going to have an example for this. Go ahead and see if you can come up with these one of these for the example problem, and then we'll move on to the next part of this.